Welcome everybody. In today's video, as you can see, we have exam preparation for an audio comprehension task, and we're going to talk about shorthand. So the objective of today is to develop and practice a personal shorthand system. What is shorthand? So this is a note-taking system. What happens is that we're going to listen to an audio, right? And these audios are usually very fast, full of information, both technical and, let's say, general English type of information. And we need to put down notes that are going to help us remember what we heard during the audio. Of course, there are going to be a lot of details, altitude, speeds, runways, taxiways, etc. And the idea is that we put as much information as we can in order to have a big picture, or let's say, a comprehensive mental picture of what happened during the audio. Okay. One of the biggest issues of these audios is the fact that the audios are not in context, meaning that they're not going to say you are going to listen to an audio of a pilot during taxi. That's not the case, and that this obstacle leads to the fact that cognitively, at the beginning of the video, you're going to be thinking of, okay, so what phase of flight are we in? Which dependencies, the control, what are the pilots doing, right? And this is going to slow down your comprehension at the beginning, which leads to loss of information. So this is one of the obstacles that we must overcome. So the system has to be easy to use, meaning that the symbols have to be very simple to reproduce and to write down, that you can in a fast manner, put down most of the information or most of the important information, and that it is consistent, meaning that every time you reproduce it, you know what it means. The system is very important to help you avoid getting stuck as well. One of the things that happens a lot is the fact that you're listening to an audio and suddenly your comprehension drops. That means that you stop listening and then you dropped, I don't know, maybe a phrase or two. And we need to avoid that, of course. I'll show you an example of my own personal system. I've been developing it for a long, long time, and I've had a bunch of help from a lot of people, right? So for example, something that I use is when I hear something that it's like cleared to land or cleared for whatever, I use this, and then I use something else. For example, if we say clear to land, then I would use clear to land, right? Or clear for takeoff, yes? I usually use direct to, like this, and then I'll use the waypoint, of course, right? Or the navaid, yes? Taxiway, runway, holding point, holding short. This could be confused with holding pattern as well. So we need to be very, very specific. What I do for holding is that I'll just I'll draw an elliptical arrow, let's say. Speed, I use V, yes. Approach, APP, as usual, etc. This is a very personal system that I have developed for the last years, and I use it a lot even during the operation when things get complicated and the scratch pad is not enough for the notes. Sometimes you need to take a piece of paper and just write down a bunch of information, right? So this is what I call shorthand, or this is what it's called, shorthand, and this is what you need to develop yourself. Let's continue. One of the biggest obstacles for this specific system is the fact that you also need to include keywords that are going to help you understand the non-routine aspect of these audios. Remember, these audios are typically non-routine situation, abnormal, maybe an emergency. So this information that usually is not very technical or that is become more complicated, what we tend to do is that we note down specific keywords that are going to help us remember or understand things like smoke, like fire, uh, emergency. For example, I do it like this: emergency response team, so emergency team, police, etc. So, for example, police is not exactly a shorthand. I'm missing an E, but I am not putting it down. You'll come with your own. You'll make up your own, right? Okay, so before we continue with the example, I would like to conclude on two things. First of all, consistency is built with repetition. So you have to repeat the use of this shorthand in order to develop it as much as you can and in order to interiorize the use of it. And the other part is just the keywords for an abnormality. So remember, keywords, it's about understanding the specific key points and key moments that are going to help you find more information. Okay, so let's go through an example. I'm going to be honest, I am going to be cheating. Yes, the audio was written by me and it was edited by me as well. So I know what it says. However, this does not change the fact that this does not change the tool, right? So we're going to listen to an audio and I'm going to put it down in my shorthand system.
Expert 77 Foxtrot, Tower, good morning. Are you ready for departure? Expert 77 Foxtrot, are you on frequency?
Good morning. Affirm, reaching Alpha 2, Expert 77 Foxtrot.
Expert 77 Foxtrot, Tower, wind 220 degrees at 12 knots gusting 25. Runway 28 left, cleared for immediate takeoff.
Negative, we are unable for immediate departure. Call you when ready. Expert 77 Foxtrot.
Expert 77 Foxtrot, cancel departure clearance. Will you be ready upon reaching holding point Alpha 1? You have a slot that will expire in 2 minutes.
We have an issue with some customers that are standing up in the cabin. Request a hold position. Expert 77 Foxtrot.
Hold as requested, Expert 77 Foxtrot.
Tower, Expert 77 Foxtrot. Request return to stand and airport police waiting for us. We must deplane some disruptive passengers.
Roger. Expert 77 Foxtrot, enter runway 28 left via Alpha 2, taxi on the runway and vacate via Alpha 4. Without delay, please. I have 2 planes behind you and incoming traffic 10 miles on final.
To 28 left via Alpha 2, vacate Alpha 4, no delay. Expert 77 Foxtrot.
Expert 77 Foxtrot, do you have any additional information regarding the situation on board so I can relay it to the authorities?
We have a violent altercation between several travelers. The situation is aggravated in the last 2 minutes.
Expert 77 Foxtrot, when vacating at Alpha 4 contact ground 122.25. Good luck.
At Alpha 4, 122.25. Expert 77 Foxtrot, thank you for your help.
All right. So this is what an audio in shorthand version would look like, right? So Expert 77 Foxtrot was called by the tower and asked if they were ready for departure. Then the tower called again, asking if they were on frequency. It was not a readback. They answered they were reaching Alpha 2 and they were giving a clearance for departure, right? A clearance for takeoff. Wind was 220 at 12, gustings 25, and they were cleared out of runway 28 left. However, the pilot declared they were unable and that they would call back when ready. So their departure clearance was canceled and they were informed that they had a slot in 2 minutes and they were asked if they would be ready. The pilot then said that they had an issue with standing passengers and requested to hold, which was approved. The pilot then requested to return to the stand and the police waiting for them because of some passengers. And the ATC gave him instructions to taxi onto the active runway. So enter runway 28 left via Alpha 2, vacate Alpha 4, no delay, because she had, I think, both traffic behind and landing. and then she asked for more information about the situation. The pilot reported that they had a violent altercation with some passengers and that it had aggravated in the last 2 minutes. Then the pilot was instructed to vacate and at Alpha 4 contact 122.225, 122.225, 122.225 to contact ground. Thank you for watching. Please leave comments and questions. Maybe if you agree, if you have something specific that you use for your shorthand. Subscribe for more content and share with someone that needs this type of content, of course. This is the first video for comprehension series, so I'll see you next time.